All right, hey everybody. I'm gonna try something a little bit new and different here. You know me as Agent Maverick. I have been a part of the Level One Gaming Lounge podcast with my co-hosts Rider Pride 639 and Irish Bandit Rob. Um, Still really big into gaming, but I kind of wanted to start dipping my toes into something else entirely. So what's and I apologize for the quality of this video. Not at the point of being able to do a ton of editing here yet, but thought I would try discussing something. As you see behind me, I have a collection and array of books, as well as two of my four dogs walking around here. Um, so I have actually been doing a lot more reading the last few years, and this last year. Right now, I've had a grand total of 38 books that I've read, and I would like to discuss some of them. I'll give you guys a little bit of a background of what I've been involved with in regards to reading. So my sister's actually been fairly big on TikTok in regards to her book reading. You guys can go check her out. I believe it's Marissa Romance Reads. She does a lot of obviously fantasy and romance books that she reads and that she talks about. Makes book recommendations, that type of thing. One of the things that actually I would like to actually take a little bit of credit here, because I was the one that actually got her back into reading. What ended up happening was I came across a book called Fourth Wing. I read it, got through 3/4 of it, and I thought it was something that she'd enjoy. So I made the recommendation for her to pick it up. She picked it up, read it, inhaled that whole series, and basically have her whole channel now. But I'm really proud of the work that she's done in regards to that, and I thought I would kind of share my experience. Now, I'm not reading anywhere near as much as she does. I don't have a lot to say in regards to the romance books, but I've that series I kind of dropped off with. It wasn't one that was really for me, so I figured I'd share a few of the books that I did really enjoy this year. Right now, though, I will discuss the one series that I'm actually tackling right now. I feel that this is one that most fantasy readers kind of draw a lot of inspiration from. And I've actually just gotten to book 7. I'll be starting that today, which is the Robert Jordan Wheel of Time series. So A Crown of Swords is the one that I'll be starting today. And of course, this is kind of the almost the gospel of fantasy read. So I've gotten into this series a little bit, and I know that I'm kind of on the downward trajectory of the way that things are kind of play out, and it's not a ideal part in the series, and I know that it's going to be, I'm kind of at the dry part of the series, but I am looking forward to seeing how the things kind of go forward with it. Obviously it's been out long enough, and there's been so many readers that I won't have an issue talking about spoilers. Rand's character is kind of starting to lose his mind a little bit with where I am, and he's had a lot of interaction with Luz, and I'm kind of interested to see when and if he kind of finds a way to work with him, or kind of veers away from it and gains his sanity back instead of listening to the voice in his head. Some of the other characters, it's just interesting with the way that the Aes Sedai have been working, and how the tower has been broken. And I'm kind of interested to see if Gwen is able to actually put everything together. So really, really good series. I do recommend it. There are a few aspects of it, like most Wheel of Time readers, that there are aspects that they hate. So that being said, I'm interested to see which direction things are going to go. Now, the next series I wanted to talk about, there's one series that broke me out of a rut. Of course, it's actually started off with rereading the Lord of the Rings series, but as soon as I was done the Lord of the Rings, I jumped into another very, very popular series, especially with other booktubers, and I cannot recommend this one enough. The Red Rising series. In fact, I actually went so far as to pick up the deluxe edition. And you can see EO on the front there, and a poem on the back. Now this is just a box, and it actually has this really nice setup in the back. This, honestly, I'm never going to actually read this copy. It's just a display piece, and there is talk of them reprinting all the books like this. I have read the whole series, everything that's been out so far. I've been playing around with the idea of potentially rereading it before the next book, Red God, comes out, which I am excited for that next book. It's going to be one that I want to pick up immediately and start reading. I'm hopefully going to be done the Wheel of Time series well before that. Darrow's character, he's the way that he was portrayed, so that main character, the way that he's portrayed, there's a lot of sympathy that I feel for him with the stuff that he's gone through, and there's a lot of decisions and stuff that he's had to make to basically stay under the radar. And definitely my favorite book, or favorite series of this year. Before I got into this series, one of my favorite series before that I would have recommended at some point, and honestly, the way that things have been going, I would probably recommend against it, or well, not against it, but it wouldn't be the first series I'd recommend. I started off getting involved in the fantasy series, in the fantasy world, pardon me, reading the Sword of Truth series. I read the first 4 books, and Terry Goodkind it kept pumping out more and more and more, and I got to the point where I did feel a little overloaded. I don't know if I'm ever going to go back into that series, but it is one that I did enjoy previously, and I did have a lot of fun with it when it was first out. So it's another, it's all right, but that's, again, Red Rising has been quickly one of my favorite series that has come out since, and I've really had a lot of fun reading that particular series this year. I cannot wait to see what Pierce Brown does with the series and what ends up happening. Of course, the one thing about this series I should mention too, if you decide to pick it up, you can read the first 3 books and be good with it and be done with it. The first book I felt was kind of like a Hunger Games setup. It's been compared to Hunger Games, and then the whole series turns into a space opera. And this particular book I got through in a day and a half. So I went through it really, really quickly. I just inhaled the series. I read the whole series, I think, within about a month, and I absolutely loved it. It was definitely a peak reading series for me this year. Now, I'm not going to go overboard. I just kind of want to go over some of the highlights here. So I'm only going to probably talk about a few more. Oh, Luke's in focus there. Sorry, give me a second, guys. All right, sorry about that. Clearing up here now. So, as I said, I was not going to highlight too many of the series that I did read, but I want to highlight the ones that I really enjoyed. So the next series that I picked up that I liked, really enjoyed, was the Bloodsworn series. So there's 3 in the series. So it starts off with the Shadow of the Gods. Then the next one is the Hunger of the Gods. And then the last one is the Fury of the Gods. Now this whole series, I think I got through it probably about 2.5 weeks. Pretty substantial books to read as well. They're not really short, as you can see, but I really enjoyed it. Orca in this series, the main character one of the main characters that it follows, because it's from a lot of different perspectives, and then they kind of get them all combined, and they start, of course, working together and meet up at the end of the series. But Orca in this series makes this series. She is probably the most badass female character I've ever read about in a book or in a series. And this has got me really interested into reading some more of his books. I actually, right now, I'm working on completing my collection here, The Faithful and the Fallen. So that's actually on my TBR for next year. And then I also have his other books, A Time of Dread, Time of Blood, Time of Courage as well. And those are on my list to read here as well. I'm actually not sure what the title series is. If you're familiar with it, you can tell me in the comments. And of course, make sure you like and subscribe. I'm going to try doing what I can to continue doing videos like this. I do also want to be able to eventually get into editing. So right now the videos aren't going to be great. Apologize for that, but I'll get to it at some point. So Fear of the Gods, or this Bloodsworn series, highly recommend as well. One of my favorite reads. I had a blast with it. I was stuck on the edge of my seat, and I actually really enjoyed the series where you're not sure if the character is actually going to make it to the end of the series or the end of the next chapter even. Just kind of the edge of your seat. You're not sure what's going to end up happening. Kind of the Game of Thrones effect that is out there for Grimdark series. All right, so I'm going to talk about one more book series that actually really got me back into reading. It's not actually fantasy related, but I've had a lot of fun reading them. The best thing about this series is you can pick up any book and read it at any point in time. The story that you're reading isn't impacted by previous events and previous stories. It's become a pretty well-known TV series, which is what introduced me to the character. I did watch some of the movies that this was actually based off of, and I do realize now why people were so upset with the casting when it first happened. But anyways, the series is Jack Reacher. So this is actually going to be the next one that I'm going to be interested in reading here. So these ones are actually, I always kind of use as a filler and read where it's, I'm not sure what I'm going to read. I don't really want to jump into another series. This is a nice palate cleanser for me to be able to get into and enjoy. And of course, there's the whole Prime series that that has taken off with Alan Richardson. And I think he's absolutely killed it in his role. But this series has always been a really great one to jump into, and I do recommend it to anybody that has any kind of thriller interest. There are some ones that are a little dry, a little boring, but it's a lot of fun when you do pick up the right ones, at least anyways. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to discuss, and I'll go through this rather quickly, is some of the TBRs for next year. And there actually might be one or two that I'll get to in between. I find that I lose a lot of interest in books if I'm constantly reading the same series. If there's, I'll get to 4 or 5 books, I'll need a palate cleanser. But so this next one might actually be used as a palate cleanser at some point in time. One of the books I actually read by this author here earlier this year. But I'll maybe touch base on that real quick as well. But the first one is Upgrade. So it's supposed to be answer kind of the psychological, the physiological question, or the psychological question of where does things end when it comes to bio upgrades, when it comes to humanity and CPU interfaces and just AI in general. It's going to be an interesting read. This is going to be kind of a really in-depth idea for what is really going on in society now, because there's chips that are actually in development for brain to be implanted here in the next few years, and that's actually, nothing's actually been said anything about it, but Like there is development of the out there for that. So this kind of asks the question of like, what's our limit as humans and for humanity. A little tongue tied there. Sorry. Anyways, so this is high up on my list to read here at some point in time. So this is likely going to be found as a palate cleanser. The book that I read from him before was Dark Matter. I did read that one earlier this year. Another one that I read in a day and a half. Was a lot of fun to read and was really well written. One of my favorites this year as well. So if you're ever needing something just to kind of jump into, this author has actually been really interesting and really good to read. I actually got a stack of books here in front of me that I kind of hid from you guys, so I'm just going to keep going and I'll rattle these off as I'm going through this. This next book has been really big in the booktube community, and I've heard a lot about it, and it just sounds like so much fun to read. But this next book is Dungeon Crawler Carl. Okay, so this is supposed to be kind of like a Running Man. Guy is in a alien game show, and he's stuck in the show with his ex-girlfriend's cat Donut, who has the ability to talk. I am very interested in this series, and it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun to read. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I did pick this one up, and I'm very, very interested in reading it. So that's on my list here as well for next year. I'm going to actually skip this one for these two here for now, because I want to get into them here in a bit. Kind of my piece de resistance. But then the next series is going to be the Gentleman's Bastard series. The first book is The Lies of Locke and Lamora. I've heard nothing but good things about this series, and it is one that has really piqued my interest, and I'm very, very excited to get into. This is actually going to be likely the first series that I tackle after The Wheel of Time. It's going to be fresh enough that it's going to keep me entertained and give me something new to really read. So from what I understand, the character is abandoned by his parents and he's adopted by a thief, and he ends up being too good, so that thief actually directs him and drops him off at a church. The church raises him, and he ends up putting together another group of criminals and thieves and working with them to steal on behalf of the church. And of course there's a bunch of shenanigans and everything that happens within the series. So I'm very interested in seeing which direction that this goes. This is going to be the first one that I pick up, I believe. The next one is going to be another series that's a very long series. There's 9 books in this series. The first 3 I've heard nothing but good things about. There are 3 standalones that have happened or that have been written to fill in the gaps. But this is a series that's another grimdark series that I've heard really good things about, that I'm very interested in, which is the First Law series. So starting off, of course, the Blade itself. I did read a Joe Abercrombie book earlier this year, which was Devils. I did enjoy it. I felt that there's a lot of a religious aspect from it. I did get it from my sister, so thank you very much to my sister for lending that, or giving that to me. I did enjoy that book, and Joe Abercrombie has been really well known within the fantasy world, especially the grimdark universe. So this is our grimdark theme, and I'm very excited about picking up this book as well. So this is pretty high up to get into as well. So very excited for that one as well. Now, another series that I've heard a lot about here in regards to another fantasy series, but I'm very excited to read, which is Jade City. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I do have I have the 3 books. I have the trilogy, but again, this is going to be one that's going to be pretty high up on my list that I will be reading here in the upcoming months, again, right after I'm done the Wheel of Time. This is, of course, as you're seeing, that there's quite a bit actually behind it. Like, I mean, a lot of these are a part of trilogies and series, so they may take me a little while to actually get through, and this is kind of what I have in mind to read at this point in time. So we'll see how quickly I can get through some of them. This one's pretty high up on the list, probably a little bit higher than the first Lost series, just to kind of break things up a little bit. But I'm excited to get into this. Now, these are going to be the last two series that I talk about, and I'm going to end the video here. So I'm going to discuss these really, really quick. The first book, like this next book series, they kind of tie in together. A lot of people have been talking about this. Again, I've been following this on booktube, and I'm very excited to read it. I actually grabbed book 3 here instead of book 1, but whatever. It will still make my point. But the Mistborn series. So this is actually book 3 in the Mistborn trilogy. So I am interested in reading this. This is actually going to be the next series I really want to get into. So I am excited to read this one. It is high up on my priority list, but I also got to say that it is slightly intimidating. Not by the first few of the Mistborn series or even the second set that I picked up as well. Because, of course, there's 2 different Mistborn series. I'm sure everyone's aware of that. But this is going to be the series that I'm going to be trying to tackle at some point in time next year. The reason why that this is overwhelming is because as soon as I'm done reading Mistborn, I know a lot of people are going to know where I'm going to be going, is I'm going to start picking up the Stormlight Archive. So this, of course, is book 1 in the series. There is 5 books in the series, and they are very thick books, and very intimidating for me to be able to get into. I've only recently read the longest book I've ever read. That was I've only read 2 books in the last few months that were over 1,000 pages long, and both of them were within the Wheel of Time series. So this one is kind of intimidating for me as well, a little less intimidating now that I've read some of the Wheel of Time series. So this is going to be the one that I'm really going to be drilling into here in the next little while. As you see behind me, I have quite a few books. A lot of them I've read. Some of them I've read, I should say. Not all of them I've read. I've got about 60 that are on my backlog. I do still have an e-reader as well of series that I want to get into as well. One of them is going to be the Sun Eater series. And of course, that's an ongoing series, I believe, as well. I could be mistaken with that, but that's going to be one that I'm going to be getting into as well. So, that being said, I'm actually going to wrap everything up here. So please like the video, subscribe. Again, I know it's kind of shoddy right now with the editing, but I appreciate you guys bearing with me. I will do what I can to get things together here in the future. Right now, it is currently November 23rd, and on December 11th, for those that are interested in gaming, me and my co-hosts of the Level 1 Gaming Lounge are actually going to be doing a live reaction to the Video Game Awards. Be great for you guys to be able to join us, so feel free. But anyways, thank you very much for sticking around for this video. You guys take care.